Hello, welcome to another session of GunnerKing's Call. Today we are going to be discussing transfers with less than a week left to go for the window to close. It's really hotting up. There have been a number of rumours, both in and out, that we've been linked to. So we've decided to put a bit more of a heavier focus on transfers going out today, but there's lots to talk about. So, I think we should just get straight into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of GunnerKing's Court. Potentially could be the last one before transfer deadline day. We might look at doing another one later on in the week, just to round up the weekend. But I brought Nigerian Englishman on today. We've got a host of stories to discuss. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to probably focus a bit more on links to transfers out of the club, because it seems that there is a really big shift in the club towards getting players out, getting them off the wage bill, raising funds. And I've just got a feeling something big has been left right until the end of the window. So we'll get into that. First of all, obviously, Nigerian, it's good to have you on.
You believe something big?
It's legendary beats.
I almost forgot. How did I forget, man?
You can never forget the intro, man. Come on. Hey.
Can't be doing this one.
All right. How are we doing? Oh yeah, now we got to get into the nitty gritty. Asna, GunnerKing, Asna.
Oh yeah, we got to get into it. And obviously, football things. Big up the listeners. Football things. I think he's Nigerian Englishman's biggest stan. Calling me McGoldrick,
Football things. Big up football things.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, goal of the month potentially could be coming from one of our preseason games of training.
Mate, it's technical. The last time I saw that, I remember when we beat United last season. I think the penalty, we only scored the penalty in that month.
Yeah, well, we're breaking records.
We are, mate. The wrong type.
That's what Gumza was saying to me yesterday on his new tactical breakdown show that we were on together. Was it? No, it wasn't the breakdown one. No, it was a post-match roundup. Yeah. Just breaking all the wrong records for all the wrong reasons. I think it's very clear that we need to strengthen. I think we've signed some good players, but not enough to immediately impact the first team.
For sure. I mean, we haven't made the decisions that we should have, because obviously in terms of the squad in general, the players that are not really our first 11, we did some good work in that. But as Gumza, as you said, keep saying, we didn't address our first 11, our starting 11. And considering the type of fixtures we're starting the season with, it's kind of disappointing that we didn't get things done quicker, so we could have been more prepared for those first 3 games. If it was maybe an easier run, then even though there's not really an easy run in the Premier League, but you know what I mean, an easier kind of fixture list, then maybe it wouldn't have hurt so much. But considering a newly promoted side who's going to be hungry regardless, with the fans behind them for the first time in the Premier League. Also, Chelsea, we didn't even know who they would have had signed. They happened to sign Lukaku. We made another headline, his first goal for Chelsea. And then, next up, we got the simple fixture of the champions at the Etihad, Things are getting easier for us, as you can see. But we got GunnerKing. We got a lot of dead wood to get rid of, man. We got a lot of dead wood to get rid of.
We do, yeah, and I think that's why you'll probably like the look of this slide. I mean, a number of the names on there I've maintained throughout the window we're looking at getting gone. Transfer checker and the transfer news basically reporting that Kolasinac and Torreira are on the verge of leaving. I believe Kolasinac is being looked at by Fenerbahce. Torreira has been. There's been
Fiorentina, I heard.
Yeah, Fiorentina on loan, but I think Lazio are interested. A German team came in for him as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which one, but they wanted.
I did hear a team in Germany actually. You're right. Maybe Stuttgart or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that are keen to take him. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of interest in Torreira. I expect that to hot up. Nketiah, apparently there's interest from Crystal Palace. Bellerin could be involved with Atletico Madrid, either as a purchase or a swap for Trippier. I know that's been explored. Trippier,
that's an interesting one. That one.
That is, but Trippier, if we don't get him, I think United could, and Atletico Madrid could look to use the money to bring in Bellerin. In any case, so that could hinge. It's going to be interesting, that one. Willian, I would pay someone to take him.
Whatever you need to do to get rid of that guy, man.
But it's looking
like in Chelsea posts and stuff. Nah, that's not on.
Yeah, it's
even before that anyway.
Yeah, he's just been not underperforming, and it's looking like Corinthians could be where he's going back in Brazil. I mean, that is significant headway that would come off the wage bill, which we'll get off to in a minute. Maitland-Niles, Lacazette, and Nelson apparently will also open to offers for those guys. And I've even heard later today that Aubameyang as well, that we're open to offers for him. So it's quite clear that.
How do you feel about that Aubameyang one, by the way?
To be honest, I'm just apathetic towards the whole thing. If he stays, he stays. I know you can rediscover his form, and I maintain that I think he'll start against West Brom tomorrow. He could get a goal there, or he could get a goal, sort of in the next few games, and I just think that will turn it on again. I think if we introduce Odegaard back to the team, maybe we look at do we look at another striker to play up top with him if we get rid of a striker?
We have to look for another striker, and for me, I've been saying it for a few weeks. Even before the transfer window opened up, I've been saying Ivan Toney would always be a good signing. I think it even more now because since we've played them, because he clearly gives us a different option. Even though it's not a transfer show, I say Ivan Toney would be, if we do sell Abba or Laka, Ivan Toney, 30 million, put it on the table, and he gives us a plan B. Like a different type of striker. Like, I like that. Strong, physical. He's good hold up play, good in the air, man. I'd do that. That's easy business, mate. And I don't see him saying no to us.
He's not slow either, and obviously he's got an eye for a finish. My concern with Brentford would be, would they want to sell him so close to the window? Would they have chance to find a replacement? Are they gonna? I don't know. Like, I think Toney would have been a good signing. Absolutely. I just think
to even attempt it.
I think we could get it done if we really wanted to. But I think the price just became 10 or 15 million pound more. Just because of the few. Yeah, and
because I asked for like 45 million for him, like 40 million.
But he's played two good games at Premier League level. And that's probably what kept everyone away. Would he be able to replicate this sort of form against top level opposition? And his answer has been yes. So I think Edouard, I think there's plenty of strikers we can look at. Is the Martinez deal dead? I don't know. But in terms of those outgoings, I mean, what are your thoughts on them? I mean,
I'm not upset about any of them, to be honest. Like, because from where we're at right now, one person I'm very encouraged about is getting rid of is Reece Nelson, because for me, I would have got rid of him before Joe Willock personally, like, because Willock has at least shown that he could put together a string of performances. He's had the odd performance in the Europa League, but he went off to Newcastle and done the business, like everything you would want from a loanee to go out there and we sold him first, which is kind of strange considering what we had. I wouldn't mind Nelson going on loan, and maybe only if he renews his contract, because that protects the transfer fee. But at the very least, he should go on loan and renew his contract. If he's not renewing his contract, we need to get cash in now. Get a little cheeky 10 million, I think 10, 15 million, because he's in the last year of his contract. If he had a couple years, and I'd definitely ask for more. But as he's in the last year of his contract, probably 10, 15 mil. And I think we should get creative with the with Nketiah and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I don't know if this offer's been put on the table, but I'd go in with them for Bissouma to Brighton, because I heard Brighton was sniffing around Nketiah before. And even if Maitland-Niles is not quite a Bissouma type player, he plays central midfield, you know, so maybe that would be a good shout, man. And if they ask for a little 10 million on top of that, I wouldn't necessarily say no, you know. I wouldn't necessarily say no. Yeah, I'm not. They definitely need to go though, regardless of how they do it. Those players definitely need to go, because Ainsley clearly is not ready to become a right back, so he needs to go.
Yeah, and I think I definitely think Torreira's probably the one that's looking the most promising at the moment. Reports are saying that that's practically done. That he could be going out as early as tomorrow to sort out the formalities of the contract and the medical and stuff.
So that's the loan with the obligation, right, to Fiorentina?
I think, I'm not sure if it's an option or an obligation. Pardon me, which concerns me as well. I'm trying to do more research on that. I hope it is an obligation.
These loan obligation things, they've become a trend since COVID, man. Like, I just buy him outright. Like, I don't know how people are just doing Torreira so dirty, because the guy is a baller. In his first season in Arsenal, played consistently. He was a baller. Like, I don't know how we're allowing all these loan options, man. People put some money down, mate.
The problem is, right, with Torreira, right, is he didn't play at all, barely, for Atletico last season. Barely started. I personally think the energy that you have for Guendouzi sometimes, I have for Torreira. I genuinely feel Arteta just came in and tried to fix something that wasn't broken. He put all his trust in Xhaka over Torreira. You know, started benching him, started subbing him. I think he was hearing that Torreira wasn't really settling in England very well. It was his first year in England and a bit. You know, like, it's not his country. You know, like, and I think in that moment when Arteta came in, he needed Arteta to kind of support him a bit.
Yeah.
And Arteta just took him out of the team.
Completely.
You know, he kept playing Xhaka, kept putting other people in, benched him. So it's like he was benched in the run-up to going to Atletico Madrid. Then he's gone to Atletico Madrid and he hasn't played. And he's come out and made no secret of wanting to leave London. Mm-hmm. All of this just drives your price down.
But what I don't like is that, you know what? He actually put himself forward and said to Arteta, look, I'm ready to play and fight for my position. I don't know if you saw that in the papers. He said he's ready to play and fight for his position. And I wouldn't have minded giving him a chance. I wouldn't have minded having a look at what Torreira and Partey look like, to be honest.
Exactly.
But it looks like it's the end of the road for him, let's be honest. So, I mean, if the best we could do is get him off the books with a loan, and that reduces his wages and that saves some money to go elsewhere. The only reason like a Torreira leaving on loan makes sense is if we're actually getting someone in. If we're just doing that deal just to do it, I'd rather keep him, to be honest. But if we're actually going to bring 2-3 more players in before the window's closed, and that's going to help, I'm all for that one.
Yeah, and I mean it is a genuine shame, because look, I think, you know, I think he was a player. I've never questioned him, you know, like, I think
with heart.
Yeah, you know, like, I think a lot of what you know, like, he does play with his heart on his sleeve. But, you know, he's very determined, strong in the tackle, mobile. He's all along. I've said, if you had to pick between Xhaka and Torreira, I'd play him all day long.
Every time, man.
other managers.
I don't know how Xhaka's got so many chances. I really don't get it, man. With every manager. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Xhaka today. Sorry, don't get me started.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Yeah, like Torreira. I remember the Europa League final in Baku. He got subbed off. We were losing, and he was there in the dugout in tears, floods of tears in his eyes. You know what I mean? He was like, he gave everything in that game. You know, like, and the reality is, when's the last time we've had a player that shows they care that much?
Guendouzi, bruv, Guendouzi. But yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Since you,
but
right,
yeah,
so who else, man?
Well, I think the next one that's looking very promising. Let me just get that list back off again. My brain is like a sieve these days. But Kolasinac,
he's been needing to leave, mate.
Yeah, and I think he's reuniting with his long lost friend Ozil.
Yeah, Ozil's bodyguard.
Yeah, I think he spoke to the higher ups. He sanctioned the move. You know, obviously he wanted someone over there that he's very close with, and those guys used to always bunk up together when they went to away days, and you know, they were like very close within the squad. So I've got hopes that will kind of carry the deal over the line.
I think that one and the Corinthians one will definitely get done, because there's no way back for Willian right now, to be honest, and we really want to get his wages off the books. So I think those two will definitely get done. Willian was just a waste of time, and I wouldn't mind having a proper look into the actual deal and who made money in that deal, because it didn't make any sense for us, like, to pay so much for him, like, at that age of his career. I don't know, man. It seems something dodgy, man, but who knows?
Yeah, I think at the moment, you know, they're really at a crossroads. They want to bring the average age down. You know, a lot's been talked about our transfers all being the age of 23 or younger, I think it is, which is commendable. But I think with Willian and the likes of David Luiz, they thought, well, we'll have these one or two kind of figureheads, like sort of elderly states heads, you know, to nurture the others. David Luiz,
he played a decent role. I wouldn't lie, David Luiz, and I wouldn't have minded him to stay and be part of the coaching staff, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like, but I think, William obviously didn't have the same kind of impact. No. I do still worry about that problem though. You know, like, if we do get rid of Lacazette, I think Aubameyang. I think Leno's 29. Aubameyang will be only 30 plus player. In terms of like that experience, but it is what it is, you know.
That's why with these next, if what we're hearing is right, we're clearly trying to force these lot out so we can get a little bit done in terms of something coming in. That's the way it's looking, because of the way they're brokering deals with the loan option to buy and all these different things that we're hearing. So it sounds like there's a plan to bring something in, yeah. So with these two, but maybe fingers crossed 3 players they could bring in, I hope they're looking at something with at least, if not 29, 30-year-old with a lot of experience, at least a young, hungry type leader that he has proven he has some leadership quality somewhere, because the DNA of leadership needs to really be rebuilt in our squad. Because if the only person really barking orders at our players is Granit Xhaka, that worries me. That worries me. As good of a leader as he proved to be to Switzerland, is clearly not working what he's doing at Arsenal. And I think the reason for that is because the Premier League is just too quick for him. Like, he can have the odd good game and he can give 100%, but because he's not very mobile, he can't turn quickly, he gets found out. If he gets pressed, he usually makes a mistake, and that costs us a goal a lot of the time as well. I just think, which is why I'm disappointed that move to Italy didn't work out, because I think that would have been great for us and amazing for his career, because he would have actually looked like a baller again with more time on the ball.
I don't think that's done. I don't think that chapter's quite closed.
For this season, I think it is.
Yeah.
You think it could be revisited in January, maybe? Do you reckon?
probably the end of the season. I
Mm,
mean,
that's
like
the problem.
basically what you said at the beginning of the program with what you're seeing at the moment is, I mean, they have been done in the past. They're just not talked about as much. Is loans with obligations. You know what that's showing is a lot of teams are looking to bridge this next year. You know, get fans back in the stadium, make sure that lockdown isn't, you know, we don't go into a lockdown recession, you know, where we start going back to being in full lockdown, people not being allowed in stadiums. You know, if people have overspent now, and then all of a sudden, you know, they go back to square one again, then that's why a lot of clubs are doing these options. You know, what they're expecting is for things to improve as the season goes on with the COVID thing.
Okay.
People to stay in the stadiums longer term, revenues to, like, you know, sort of revenue generation to recover. And obviously people have got a lot of bills to cover from the impact of COVID as it is. So I wouldn't like the loan part.
It's just because it sounded like a big thing right now. Like a lot, I'm hearing it more times than I'm not hearing it. It's like every day I'm hearing a deal, loan, obligation to buy. It's frustrating, but I guess teams have had to be creative in the market since COVID, I guess. So that seems to be the trend. And it's better getting rid of the player that way than not at all, I guess.
That's it. The thing is, because like if you look at, say, Bellerin, that's what Inter were offering. And we thought if we hold out, they will eventually come up with the cash, but they just went and took the same cash, bought a Dumfries.
When we should have bought Dumfries and forced them into having to buy a Bellerin, basically.
Well, that's what
we should have done.
Yeah, you know, so I think at the moment, like these loans with obligations, I think they're going to be a bit more common. So I think that might even be how Kolasinac goes.
I think that is. I think we're terminating his contract with Kolasinac. I think that's what's happening with him.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, he's only got a year.
I like the fact in the slide you put up earlier, they said that we're looking to actually sell Bellerin and Nketiah. There wasn't like a loan option there. It specifically said, if you see, it said sell Nketiah, Bellerin, and I think is it Lacazette?
Lacazette as well, yeah. Lacazette was the last one, yeah.
And this Lacazette thing hurts me. I'm not gonna lie, because he even though Arteta hasn't figured out a specific system, he's worked better in whatever Arteta's been doing, or whatever it's called, what Arteta's been doing than any other striker.
This is the thing, right? Going back to, like, obviously a lot of people mistake me for someone who's backing Arteta or this board, right? But I think this is a perfect example, Lacazette and Aubameyang, of what I'm actually directing my frustrations at, is our recruitment and the people responsible for hiring the people that do recruitment. Because if you look at the relative space between when we bought Aubameyang and Lacazette, like, one would have been enough of those.
Yeah. At the time, I get you.
Yeah, like, because there was less than I think we
6
got
months. We got a Lacazette in the summer, then we got Abba in January. Like that was so un-Arsenal like. And literally,
it's weird because we got Oba to replace Sanchez, but they're completely different strikers. You know, Sanchez, you know, is a lot more mercurial. You know, you pick up the ball. You know, he could run at players. He could play like on the left and cut inside. He could play on the right, get down the byline. He could play in the center and just run straight in between the centre backs. He could play the second striker.
Arsenal Sanchez was just an absolute phenomenon. He would win games single-handedly, that brother.
That's it.
Madness.
And I think I think what they just thought at the time, because I remember what was happening. And I said in that window when we were trying to keep Sanchez, that winter window, I said, watch this. We're going to spend the whole month, trying to keep Sanchez. We're going to lose. And then in the last week, we're just going to just sign the first striker we point and aim at, you know, like
exactly that.
But Aubameyang's always been much more of a poacher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, of someone who operates in the final third. You
Last
know,
man all over the top, or
playing
ball.
Off the shoulder of the last man, right?
Triangle pass.
Yeah, he's not. You know, he would play on the wide left for Dortmund, but he wasn't.
But his best work was done in the middle, like.
Yeah, no, yeah, but at Dortmund, when he played on the left, right, it wasn't like he was an inverted winger. He wasn't put there to create for people.
Yeah.
And he wasn't put like right out on the touchline. He would like.
I'm with you.
He'd be like
put to like cut in and kind of make that little bit of space.
Sometimes
and he was younger and more mobile at them times.
Yeah, exactly. He was far more mobile. Like he would go out, like, but his starting position would be narrow. He would go out to the channel to look for the space and come back in again. Yeah. But it's just not the same strikers altogether in terms of, you know, what you were losing in Sanchez. You're getting something completely different with Oba. And 6 months before, we had bought Lacazette. So
it was weird. It was like when even though it hurts, it might hurt me to say this actually, even though I loved signing the player at the time. So remember when we signed Ozil?
Yeah.
Like at that stage, Santi Cazorla was playing as our number 10 and he just won player of the season. So we didn't actually need that number 10 at that point. When Ozil came, obviously you don't say no to buying Mesut Ozil, but I remember we were in talks in that summer with Di Maria. And if we'd ended up buying Di Maria instead of Ozil, and we still had Santi playing as a number 10, that team would have looked Santi and then the next summer we would have had a chance to actually sign Cesc because we wouldn't have had Ozil. Anyway,
this is the thing, right? I think that is a bigger problem. That is the biggest problem, right? It's the key decision making, in who you bring and who you get rid of in this club. When, why, and how we do that. We are doing those things all wrong. And maybe that is the recruiter in me, because I work in recruitment and I understand the importance of these things. Like
it's not just you, bro. It's common sense, bro. We're vibes and inshallah, bro. You know
it makes or breaks a business, right? I've worked with startups. That have thought they needed to hire X, they've hired Y. They don't have the benefit of being one of the biggest football clubs in the world. They're gone. That's it. That one false move, that one wrong turn in hiring the wrong person or the right person at the wrong time or wrong on both fronts can just destroy everything. And the thing is, I think this Lacazette and the Aubameyang situation is a good example of how much thought went into can these players play together? Was it just a case of they're good players, they'll figure it out?
It was just literally, he's available, get him, rather than actually a plan. If I get him, how is he going to play with this guy? I don't think for so many summers, we've never bought players like that. Mm-hmm. At the best, the only manager that kind of tried to buy players like that, it didn't necessarily work, was Emery. He actually tried to, we need a defensive midfielder, Torreira. We need do you know what I'm saying? Like the way he tried to sign players kind of made sense, but it was weird, man. And I still think if they actually backed him, even though we got Pepe, if we've got Zaha for Emery, then I don't think we'd be talking about Mikel Arteta right now. You guys might think I'm wrong, but I think if they fully backed him and got that player, I don't think he would have got sacked, to be honest.
And this is the thing, that decision there in itself was we're not paying
the domino effect.
We're not paying the English tax. We're going to pay a similar fee for someone who's a lot younger, who's less proven. We're going to take that risk. We're going to assume that risk is going to work out with Pepe, which I think has been mixed. I wouldn't say it hasn't entirely not worked out, but it hasn't worked out in the way that we would have wanted it to. Which I'm sure you'd agree as well.
100%. You know my stance on Pepe.
And this for me is key, because buying Pepe means we had to. That summer we needed a centre back. That was the same summer we David Luiz. The same thing. We went into that window thinking the first thing we were going to get is a centre back, and it was the last thing. Yeah. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Does this sound familiar?
It's Groundhog Day with how
And
we
then-
do business. We never learn from our mistakes, bro. Never.
And then what we did after we bought Pepe was like, fuck, we were meant to get a centre back, and then we just saw this David Luiz thing, 9 million. He's played for Chelsea. He's won Champions Leagues with them. He's won stuff with PSG. What could possibly go wrong here? You know, we'll get him for one season for 9 million, and then next season we'll come back and we'll get a proper centre back. Well, it's taken them what two seasons later to get that centre back that they should have got then. But we've come into this window
as well.
We've come into this window thinking we need midfielders. Because centre of midfield and creative or attacking midfield, right? For me, was like the standout area.
Bro, the most important two things that need to be addressed is who's Partey's partner, and the number 10. Like those are the first most important things you address. Everything else we can do after, and then the right back, to be honest, and then the right.
And here we are again, repeating the Pepe window. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not just Arteta. Do you know what I mean? That's not just Arteta.
That's all the people, Vinay, Edu, all them people there. The inexperienced group of people we have running our club, bro. That's what it is. In every position.
That's the unfortunate thing, you know. And I don't. When I say I feel sorry for Arteta, I don't want it to mean as if, like, I think his form as a manager should be defended, because it shouldn't. You know, it's just one. He was hired with no experience, and then put into a position where even the most experienced, based on these kinds of patterns repeating themselves, would be struggling. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but
it's not to say don't bring in a more experienced manager who will struggle less.
I hear what you're saying, but another manager would have made more of this squad. We just picked strategically rather than just vibes, bro.
But the thing is, what I would love to see is for everything to change. Do you get what I mean? Like, for us to not be making these same mistakes and talking about them years later and seeing patterns of behavior that aren't changing. You know, like.
But do you know what it is, right? Because I've kind of, even though I don't like the Cronkies, I've kind of moved away from them for a little bit, just for the sheer fact I know they're not selling. So I'm not. I've stopped myself talking about it for a bit because they're not ready to sell. If my man's offering 2.something billion and they're not even hearing that, then they're not ready for at least the next year or no. He might come in again, but I'll park the Cronkies just for now. First thing they need to identify is, look, we hired Edu and Arteta to do a job, and even though we don't know anything about football, like, what these lot have done is a mess. Do you get me? Like, that's the main thing he needs to say. Like, look, I think the next thing we need to do is we need the Overmars and the Ajax coach together, because Overmars, right? He's experienced in looking for top players and looking through top talent. He's worked in the academy at Ajax. The way in terms of the passing style football is something that Arsenal has added that to their DNA as well. So he's going to try and help do the things maybe a Cruyff did for Barcelona. Maybe I'm going a bit far, but, you know, maybe not as far as Cruyff, but you know the message I'm trying to relay, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's this type of person that would tell, because he is an actual Arsenal legend. He was only at us 3 years, but he's an Arsenal legend as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Freaking baller, right? And you've heard him say things like, I told Arsenal to sign Ziyech because Ziyech at Arsenal as a number 10 would be a great move. Don't get it twisted. But we just didn't buy him. I think we could have got him for like 20 million at one point. And if we have a director that thinks like that a lot earlier than even Chelsea ended up signing him, then that's the type of thing we need. We need someone that can work well with the manager. This Edu and Arteta thing hasn't worked. Or you could arguably say they've just been given 139 million to spend. Now Arteta has no excuse. He's clearing out the dead wood. Even though he hasn't spent it how maybe me or you would have spent it, he spent it. That means he's co-signed the players for at least the last 4 windows. So, boy, he's in control. The title he has in the team, he's in control. But the thing is, he's got to pay the price.
If we look at it, in the last 2 years, we had Raul Sanelli, who left under a cloak of secrecy. The reports were that that there was some irregularity, should I say, in the Pepe transfer that involved him. I think some cash was going into his back pocket.
Dodgy Raul.
Right. So you had Raul Sanelli and you had Mislintat. And, we've had Edu. Obviously we've had, Arteta come in as a manager. So there's been constant change in direction. Mislintat is someone who very much has an eye for unpolished diamonds, of any age group, particularly the French, the German leagues. He does a lot of extensive scouting and work in African nations as well.
Yeah. We moved too quickly from him to Eddie, bro. We moved too quickly.
Listen, Mislintat was the guy we should have kept, because if you look at the people,
his track record says it himself. Yeah, his CV is ridiculous, bro. I'm with you 100%.
Like Lewandowski, Goetze, Hummels, Aubameyang,
Royce, list goes on. Yeah, bro.
And these players, Podolski costs like a few million. Not Podolski, Lewandowski.
Whereas Edu had who on his list, bro? Who?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what CV did he show? Oh, I was a squad player in the Invincibles. That's your, like, literally, that's you, bro. And you got the job off that. That's wild.
I think
Richard Garlick, that's used to negotiating with the likes of Norwich and freaking Stevenage and QPR, and then we get him to be our key negotiator, bro. We're not serious.
To be fair, To be fair, Garlick's all right. He's off my list, man. He's worked for the Premier League. He's worked for other teams. He's got lots of experience. But I just think putting him in place is all good, because now Edu isn't doing the negotiating. But I think the problem still remains in how we're actually identifying players and how quickly we're acting on just that part of the process, like that part of the operation of identifying targets, and then how we go in when we go in for them. There just doesn't seem to be any cohesion whatsoever in that sort of area. And I think, look, it's a massive thing, like a Chelsea fan pointed it out to me the day before they made a bid for Lukaku. We have effectively already made the player sales. We've got add-ons that they're going to collect and initial outlay they had already made for Lukaku. So it was like a straight, they sold Armoury, they sold who else did they sell? Tammy Abraham, Giroud as well. So this is the thing though. They obviously did that, but they knew what they was going to do. Yeah. Look, we really like Haaland, but Dortmund are playing hardball because Sancho has just gone United. So they might actually want us to pay a silly amount of money, which we don't.
Rather get him for 60 next year if we need to.
Yeah, but we got Lukaku there as a belts and brace thing,
and he's ready.
So these are the two we're going to go for. So how are we going to get there? Are we going to just get the money out? No, we're going to sell this, and then we're going to use that to get one of those two. Cool, and you can see them executing. Do you know what I mean? Like they see a plan. They've turned that around very quickly.
That's the thing. The crucial thing you just said, Gunner King, is the plan. There's a plan, and it looks like there's a plan, and then they execute the plan.
But the thing is,
we're doing vibes, bro.
That plan wouldn't just be Tuchel. Tuchel wouldn't just be putting names on a bit of paper and saying,
for sure.
That's all I want. This is what I'm saying. Like now, everything is done by committee. Yeah, you've got your manager literally, will look after your first team, all the man management, the coaching sessions. Does he employ coaches? Does he coach himself? That is interpretary with most clubs. But I'm telling you, no one manager is like looking at players, scouting them, like, and
For
then
sure,
deciding what you've got to
like,
bid
come
for
on,
them.
yeah, that's
just like, and all
that's
of that.
what I
Like, clubs have moved away from that a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have specialists in those areas to cover those different things.
It doesn't look like we have specialists, bro.
No, exactly that. You know, like, so the thing is, a lesser experienced manager can work. It's not ideal, but if they've got the support of the experience of the other functions,
Mm-hmm.
you won't have the problems that we have. Yeah.
Sure, man.
But what
We shouldn't be.
All of those other compartments are headed up by inexperienced people. I mean, Garlic has done great things this window, but he was working for the Premier League up until last season. So he wasn't working he hasn't worked for a club entity for a while. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing. Edu
might be out of touch, mate.
Yeah, like, you know, Edu's done it for, like, I think he's been a technical director.
Edu has no CV as far as he's never had the position he had at Arsenal.
I think he's had a similar one in Brazil, but not for a very big club. Hello? Oh. Mr. Englishman.
Anywhere else.
Yeah.
Arteta's never had the position he's had at Arsenal anywhere else.
That's it. And it's too much. Nigerian. I think we may have lost him for a bit. But anyway, guys, what I will do whilst we wait to get Nigerian back, just go through some comments quickly. KRB, it's good to see you. Dizzy as well. I hope you're all good. But yeah, look, this is what I think the problems are. I think Nigerian's back now.
Sorry about that, mate.
No, that's all good. All good. But yeah, like, you know, I think that's the area that I think we've got to address, you know, and I think a lot of people, I personally think, the Kroenkes, if they know the fans are going at the manager, it's a distraction to go at them. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's a distraction that they welcome. You know, like, whilst the Sharks are frenzying at getting Arteta out, they're not worrying about the fact that all of these people for the last 5 years that the Kroenkes have entrusted with the club to leave it in safe hands whilst they're gallivanting all around the world.
They're doing.
They don't even really understand English football because, you know, their bread and butter is American sports franchises and they're American.
Sure. And they've trusted these lot to take our club and they haven't. So if anyone's talking Arteta out, right, I'm not going to say that, you know, but if anyone's saying Arteta out, it's got to be Edu and Arteta out at the very least. They both got to go. If one has to go, the other has to go, and vice versa, man. It's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy if they do get rid of Arteta and Edu doesn't go as well, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I just think, yeah, in terms of trying to solve a problem, you know, obviously we thought the problem was Wenger, or a lot of fans thought the problem was Wenger till he left. We got Emery in. You know, we thought he was the problem. And the common thread of the people that are working around the managers and how resources are allocated to those managers,
for sure, has
contributed heavily to where they are. And now I'm seeing some fans saying we should get Wenger back.
And I know they're the same fans that were asking for him. Yeah, the whole thing is
a fan base say
they fuck up, boy. They fuck up. It's messed up.
At what point do we as a fan base say, well, what changed? You know, like, because we thought changing the manager then would change everything. It didn't. Then we thought changing the manager would change everything again, and it didn't. And I tell you what, if we change the manager again and nothing changes, like, I don't know.
Gotta keep going up, bro. You know, keep going up. So,
the
like, I do like the thing with Arteta is
Chelsea changed their managers. It works for them, but Chelsea changed all the shit in the back as well. That Marina woman who does all their negotiating,
she's an absolute monster. She doesn't play. She don't play that, bro. You negotiate in the room with her, bro. It's on. It's straight up on. No football experience, but she can negotiate. She don't need no football experience. Let her get in and try and negotiate. That's the type of assassin we need, bro.
But then the club put the football people around her to make her understand the footballing part, and then she just does the
negotiate.
This is what I'm saying. This, you know,
that's it, bro. But we don't have that.
I'm more concerned about how the club is run, than how it's managed. As crazy as that sounds, because how the club is run will make managing the club easier for Arteta or for any other manager that comes in after him. Do you get what I mean?
But on the flip side, right now, Arteta, no one can tell me Arteta's not been backed. So they're saying he's got 5 games. I will watch him for the next 5 games. I'm not saying he's got 5 games, but I'm going to be watching with a close eye these 5 games because he's put together these players. He said he's got the players that he believes he needs to make the team work. I don't agree. I don't have to agree with it if he believes in it and he thinks he can do it. Like, it's now for Arteta to stop talking and saying we've got a process, we've got a plan, we've got all this. Just start putting it into action. We need to see the performances, bro.
Yeah.
We need to see them now. Stop all the talking and the excuses. Let's see this. Let's just see it in action, man. Get rid of the deadwood and let's keep this pushing, bro.
Yeah. And I think just another thing that I wanted to look at is, I think Jim Howson put this up. This is quite interesting. You know, I think even if we got rid of half of those players on the list, and we take the most likely ones, Nketiah, been on the, around the 45k a week figure, Torreira, closer to 75. Kolasinac came on a free, which is why his wages are so high. And this is the other thing that I wanted to use this source for, is to dispel the myth that free transfers can or always are cheaper than buying a player. Because look at the disparity in wages there, between Kolasinac and Willian. To consider what Willian's achieved relative to Kolasinac in his career, for Kolasinac to even be that close to Willian's earning potential. And I'm going off of Willian before he flopped when he came here. But
when he could play football.
Yeah, when he was a Chelsea player. And that just goes to show, I think a lot of other business that we were doing free transfers because we didn't want to pay initial outlays. But then over the life of a 4 or 5 year contract, the extra 25 a week that you're paying Kolasinac relative to Torreira, that adds up. So look, I mean, you're looking at getting about £410,000 off of the wage bill, about 21 million a year if we can get rid of these 4 players. So
boy,
that's
good, man.
I mean,
get it done. Let's get it done, man.
The thing about that is, this is, like a lot of people speak about this, like about when we speak about net spend and net transfers, and like we always look at, like, the word net in a business sense obviously means after you've taken into consideration all outgoings. So when you say net transfer, it's not, because you have to pay agent fees, you have to pay a signing on fee, you have to pay a bonus. There'll be bonuses over the life of the loan. There'll be the wages of the player. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you are actually taking into consideration the net, it would be all the associated costs from the start to the end of the player's contract. Midway through the contract, if the player performs, what happens? They get offered an extension. Sometimes that can have another signing on fee, another signing on bonus, or whatever. Obviously that increases the wage thing. So then over the life, that increases again, So this is the thing, like, our business has been very, people are like, Arsenal has spent money. In the last 5 years before this window opened, you'd spent over £300 million, on just bringing in.
We don't know how to spend money. The little money we spend, we don't spend it in the right ways. That's the issue, bro. We've
not been invested in the right areas. We've not been, there's been a raising in the bar of quality, the cost for quality. Like, you've seen inflation and the carefree spending of certain oil propped up clubs effectively heightening the price that you would pay for an average player. I mean, 40 million used to be like, when we bought Sanchez.
Yeah, that used to be a madness. Yeah, that was like
when we bought Sanchez and Ozil You never said 42. It was the 42.5 million. Because it was over 40 million, and it was like, raw. Like, who does this in this day and age? Yeah, unless you're buying Ronaldo.
Football has done a madness, because I remember when I was at school, and Man U signed Andy Cole for 6 million, and it was a madness, bro. It was like, yo, 6 million for a player, madness. And now we're hearing, like, it's rare we even hear a player goes for as little as 6 million now, bro.
Yep, and I think
literally,
I don't think the Kroenkes have been quick enough to react to this, and that's why we got players like Kolasinac, because it's like, we don't want to pay those fees, but here's an opportunity to get a good
option. That's when we started becoming well in Europe, guys. Yeah,
and his contract's run down. We'll offer him a high wage, because of that. I remember Kolasinac. Everyone in Europe wanted him because he was actually,
he played like a wing back. Like, he had a lot of assists, I heard, before he came to us.
He was very decent. That's the thing, yeah. So we've paid over the odds to make our option the most attractive. But then what happens is this: when you're trying to get, if you're trying to get rid of them because it doesn't work out, the clubs that want to buy the player, that are in the lane of the player's quality, they can't be paying 100 grand a week to a player. They probably pay that to 3, 4, 5 players. Do you see what I mean? So then, if the player's got to take a massive pay cut, which they're not going to do, you're going to sit on the bench. Yeah. So for that,
collect their salary.
Trying to save that money from not paying it on a transfer fee, well, you're losing it by the player sat on your bench, training with your under 21s, not ever featuring for your first team, and you're paying him as if he is. So this is the thing.
There's a lot to go into when it comes to our business, bro. Like, and the fact that it's taken so long to get rid of some of these players that we've known have not been good enough for a while at the club. So some of these players should have been gone last season. I'm so surprised that we picked the option of sticking with El Neni and letting Torreira go on loan. I would have thought, try and figure out the Torreira thing and sell El Neni. That's what I would have thought he would have tried to do. And the same thing with like a Guendouzi. I believe that I don't know why he kept Nelson last season, because even when he was fit, he didn't really get a run of games. So what would have made more sense is maybe have thrown him on loan last season rather than us thinking about what we're going to do now. Because if we'd gone on loan last season, we'd know what we're doing with him right now. Do you get me? We'd know exactly what we're doing with him. Same thing with maybe in Nketiah. Like, we didn't, even though I don't really like him. No, let me never say Nketiah. I think Balogun, we knew we wanted to keep him for the future. You send him on loan last season, let him get some games. He would have been way more prepared for that Brentford game if he'd had a season on loan.
To be fair, what I would say about Balogun is, when a player's running down their contract,
I hear you.
There's uncertainty.
That was just, that one is a bit more, I guess, because of the contract situation. But you get the gist of my message.
But again, letting his contract get to that stage where it ran down,
again, you see,
is part of the mismanagement issue. Do you see what I mean? Like,
there's a lot, man. But yeah, definitely. In terms of the show for today, innit? Like, we definitely got to get these guys out. There's no doubt about that. And I hope, and I am only really excited to get rid of all of them if we actually do have a plan to get at least 2 or 3 in. If not, it's like, what do we care?
I hate to break it to you, and I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I think Amondi made a good comment, or Mr. B did actually earlier in the show. Very optimistic about getting rid of those not so good players. That's the problem. Like, I don't think we'll get rid of all of them, but I think if we can get rid of the higher ticket ones, if we can get rid of half,
Bellerins, them type of guys.
Yeah, if we can get rid of half to 3/4 of them. So I'm just going to get the list back up again. Kolasinac on that high wage, like Torreira, they're the higher wage earners.
Yeah.
You really want to prioritize those two. Yeah,
and Bellerin.
Yeah, Bellerin as well. He's on a hefty wage, and Willian as well. And then look, if you get left, Lacazette as well, he's a high earner. If you then get left with a Nelson, and Maitland.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I don't mind that.
Even in Nketiah, I mean, that just makes it
definitely not an Nketiah, but yeah.
The thing, but I mean, if you got rid of those other higher earners, if you said to me, you can get rid of Nketiah, but some of these are staying, or you can get rid of all of these, but you're left with Nketiah. Best believe I'm getting left with Nketiah, bro, because
fair, but I'm only happy with either of those if we're getting players in, bro.
He's got, and I think getting rid of those lot would bring much more of a fee that you can get, like, bring players in for. And instead of looking at one player off the wage bill who's on 45k, you've got rid of a bunch that are on collectively, well, you saw like 300,000-400,000 a week, then that means you can consider that when you're trying to buy a player, because you're like, well, this is what I can go up to wage-wise now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we got rid of loads of players last summer as well, so, and in January. So I think this is what people need to realize. This is where Arsenal are, is undoing this mess. And I think that affects us when we're thinking about who we're going to buy, because it's like the last thing you want to do is make headway, trim the wage bill, trim the fat, get rid of the excesses in it,
and then buy no one.
Bring someone in
nonsense
who basically takes that problem from there to back there again.
Yeah. Replacing the problem.
Yeah.
So if we don't buy these sales mean nothing to me. Just like Gems is saying in the comments, like, if we don't buy, these sales mean absolutely F all to me, mate.
Yeah, and look, this is why I think, personally, I think the money to buy is there, and that we've allocated that at the beginning of the window.
Well, spend it then.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think what they've wanted to do is basically the way they budget, is like it will be year on year, but there'll be like a 3 or a 5 year plan. Do you get what I mean? Where it'll be like over 3 or 5 years, these are our budget forecasts for like our revenue, our turnover, and based on the revenue coming in being this close to what your turnover is for that quarter, that season, or whatever, you can have this percentage, and then there'll be like a sliding scale up or down of like a percentage of that turnover that they can spend based on how much of that revenue actually comes in. So they'll do that quarterly, they'll do that yearly. Yeah, they'll do that like as per the season to season periods as well, from like the summer to summer. And then they'll have like a bigger kind of 3-5 year plan that kind of ties into, which ties in with all the sponsorship revenue in it. Like Puma will be like, we're doing your kits for 2 years. I don't know. We're giving you this much. So I think with what we're looking to do is, like, it's not just about getting rid of players and trying to make money, like recoup the money. It's like, well, if the wage bill's always dropping, then that means we can go bigger in the transfer market. Do you get what I mean?
Totally, man. 100%.
In terms of like how much we pay for a player, but if it's a good, like, I heard that Martinez,
we can offer him.
Yeah, Martinez. I heard that we just straight up offered him 260 grand a week. And you think they did that without expecting to get rid of some of these guys?
Yeah,
like there is planning there. Like, it's just not transparent.
160 racks, yeah.
Yeah, man. They weren't fucking around, man. They went in for him. And there's like Locatelli, they offered him. He was on like 40 odd, something like that. At Swazzalo, they were like, all right, well, how's 120?
I still think that transfer thing, that saga was embarrassing for us, mate.
Yeah, but look, Juventus offered him less money. They offered him less,
which makes it even worse, bro. Like, it's embarrassing, man.
This is the thing, yeah. Like, so
once he's come out and tell everyone that he wants to go to Juventus, that should be that's dead our talk, bro. We should dead it one time.
The money,
he's kind of disrespecting us.
The money being there to buy people isn't the problem. It's just it's being looked after, because it's like, well, what could happen in the next 12 months, and also what has got us here in the first place. It's just basically, when we saw Kolasinac, we didn't think, we just threw money at it and said, yeah, done. So yeah, it's difficult to strike that balance between being careful to not make those same mistakes, but being so careful not to make those same mistakes you're making other ones. Like this one, leaving it until the last week of the window to bring in your main first team players.
Bro, our club, you know what we're on, mate. We're on nonsense, mate. Absolute nonsense. There's no plan, there's no execution, there's no delivery. We're a shambles, isn't it? Like, it hurts me to say it that it's got this bad in decline. I'm reminiscent of the days of David Dean, where things just seem so easy. We're interested in the player. Wenger and Dean take him around the Highbury. He signs. End of. Like, no long talk. All this, there's a plan. All of this is a madness, bro.
We'll never do things the easy way, man. But I mean, look, I think, you know, it's been good to have you on today, Nigerian Englishman. I think
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I think this next week really is a make or break one. And it's going to be interesting to see how it ends in terms of who they bring in. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, watching. Don't forget
to comment, share, all of that. Smash it.
We are going to. One thing I want to plug is the Transfer Lowdown show that FTB Sports are doing from 5 until midnight next Tuesday. I'm going to be involved in that. It's looking like I could be free for all of it, but there'll be delegates from each team, from United Agenda, Cop Talk, Paxton Road. We'll have other special guests from other fans. Of other teams as well. So yeah, it should be good. Something not done by FTB before. And yes, so looking forward to that. But yeah, until then, you know, there'll be, I think, Gunslingers tomorrow.
Thursday, I think. Gunslingers on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, that's Gunslingers is back Thursday. I think I'll be doing a court session again on Friday.
I think we've got the reaction show tomorrow after the West Brom game.
Yeah, of course, we've got that as well after the West Brom game. So yeah, tune in for those, and we will see you very soon, guys.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy.